think, okay, both players are in the game. Let's quickly flip to the match card and talk about this next match. So we have, looks like we have Alex Sneed against Wen Law. Alex has done pretty well over the last 2 years. He's, won an RTN, won a ProQuest, got top 4 at the Calling Las Vegas team calling. That was pretty cool. That's how he got a PTI. And his he says his most famous achievement is getting 69th at US Nets. So
nice. That is nice.
Of course. Yeah.
Oh, that was the that calling was the Blitz Team Blitz event. No. Yeah,
Team Blitz event in Las Vegas. That was right. Really cool. Unfortunately, I couldn't go to that one. But yeah, I had Namvo and Alex, and I think there was another guy that was on our team. I not all of the card guys could go, so we got some stand-ins. But over on the other side, we have Wen. Wen has won some skirmishes, won a ProQuest in Season 1 and Season 2.
Yep.
Very, very solid player. One of the, a guy that actually I've seen him play a lot of different things as well. Everybody on Blue Pitch plays like 5 different things, so that's kind of crazy. I mean, tapping into the game now, I mean, we see that he's on Briar today.
Yep.
So we have Iyslander versus Briar. Looks like they're just rolling dice here, and I think Alex won the dice roll here. So
they're rolling now, yeah.
Okay, I guess they're rolling again. Okay. So anyways, so Iyslander versus Briar, this is going to be kind of similar to the last match in that we need to see timely disruption from the Iyslander player.
Yeah, and a lot depends on the equipment suite here. We actually saw Nathan with an incredible match against, I think it was Iyslander last week, using Crown of Dominion, which was kind of fun to watch. He navigated that really well. Again, that was a deck that did use Bullet or Minnowism. So, again, another consideration, maybe just to the amount of disruption that you can suffer sometimes at the hands of Iyslander. We saw Alex play last week. He played Iyslander last week. He went up against Anthony Pham from the experience and had a tough matchup. Again, that fire. Every time I see a fire Iyslander match, it doesn't feel as even as people seem to say it is. He definitely struggled and got blown out by some big turns from that fire player there. And shout out to Anthony as well, as a guy that sort of runs my weekly armory down there. I have to deal with these very good SoCal players on a regular basis. So
I see. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. As I'm forged in the fires of adversity, so to speak. So yeah, Sneed looking for a bit of a bounce back after a tough last week.
Yep. The we're going to really have to see what type of style that Wed is going to bring here. I know that in general, the Briar players in Hong Kong like to go a little bit more aggressively, and we're a little bit less likely to see the Crown of Dominion here. I guess we're going to just have to see here. This is one of the things is that, because Hong Kong is a isolated region in that, it's surrounded by water on 3 sides and borders mainland China. It is its own region, right? So when you go to a tournament in the US, if I go to Georgia, like people from the north, south, east, and west could go to that tournament in Georgia, right? Nobody attends Hong Kong tournaments except Hong Kongers, right? So sometimes, the deck list and the metagame can get kind of warped and, kind of a silver bullet-y. Looks like AB3. Okay, interesting. Okay. What do you think about AB3 in Briar here?
It's interesting. I think that, especially if you're expecting your opponent to have some sort of fairly large attack actions. Crown of Dichotomy, obviously, giving you that AB1. Vexing Cool Hand is a pretty... normally I just expect the Vexing and maybe the Null Rune Boots here. So going to this extent is interesting because it doesn't help you against red or yellow Ether Ice Vein, right? It doesn't stop those effects. You're not going to run Oasis Respite in a Briar deck. So AB3 to me feels like a bit of overkill. Just the AB1 and pitch the card, play the 2 off it, you know what I mean? So very defensive. We just talked about how aggressive a lot of these Briar lists are. Alex, by the way, gets a pretty nice start here. Amulet of Ice just slammed on the table.
Yeah, Amulet of Ice, his choice of an Arsenal card, no filter from the Briar. That's pretty good. All right, I guess we're going to see a slower style of Briar. We also, depending on what we see, I'm going to keep a close eye out for a few cards. We could have the potential for a Briar to play like really, really slowly.
Yeah.
In which case, the Iyslander player is going to have to adapt, set up some Frost Hexes, and go from there. But we see a Bramble Spark here, no Fuse here. All right, just going to be a vanilla +3. Or,
when he's filtering.
Yeah, he's filtering on his own turn here.
It's not good.
Yeah, so it's not fused, so it's not even going to get the +3. It's just going to have the arcade damage here, which, spoiler alert, Wizard is very, very good at blocking arcade damage. So we see the Metacarpus node here. So this Metacarpus node makes more sense to me here because Storm Striders is AB2, Metacarpus node is AB1. So, dealing with things like Bramble Spark here, or just, single rune chance, you definitely want the AB1 here. So I do agree with Alex's armor selection here.
It's worth pointing out as well, like no Snapdragons available for Wen in this matchup. I think it can be pretty significant, especially when he's really looking to start to put pressure on Alex and have a super wide turn. That's just not going to be an option. So that what you tease about playing a bit slower, Josh, we might actually start to see that, that come out here.
And this is kind of one of the problems of letting the Iyslander go first, is that if you don't get the filter at all, it's possible that you're only utilizing 3 of your 4 starting cards, which is what's going to happen here.
That's
okay. Complete cover up here of. So Alex is not going to get to Waning Moon here, but he's still, looks like he has a hand that can utilize every single card here. Lightning Press. Okay, never mind. I spoke too soon.
I love it. Not every Briar deck is running this, by the way. I mean, some have just gone away from playing the Lightning Press. I think it's really cute. You can obviously secure some of those on hits you really want. Snatch being one of them. So, extra damage is important. Keep Briar as low as possible. Really want to walk keep the Iyslander as low as you can. Really walk these life totals down. And that feels pretty unsatisfying for the player that Arsenal to sink below for this very occasion.
Yeah. Well, I think we're going to probably see a chunky attack for 7 or 8, and then a Arsenal ice card here probably. Because seeing him pitch a blue to block 1 arcade means he could utilize every single card in his hand.
Normally Iyslander is happy to block with 2 per turn cycle, to block with 2 cards, and then just peek in one. But this is even better, right? Having a 3-card hand means that you have the ability to push this big attack, which is also why we sometimes see Iyslander keep 3-carders, just block with a single card. Would have lined up perfect for Sneed if there wasn't like a Lightning Press here. Either way, this still feels pretty darn good. He gets the life from Finals Fighting Spirit, forces the block here, and be able to pocket a card.
Yep. And, anytime your opponent is blocking your chunky attacks, not only does it give you information about their hand, so he blocked with a blue Sift, that gives you information, but it also reduces the potential of their turn. Going from 5 cards to 4 cards is a huge difference.
Yeah, absolutely. It takes a lot of the sting out of Briar. She can get multiplicative when she has extra card density. So this is a fused Bramble Spark at least. So the +3 is going to be active. Again, there's going to be an arcane damage component off this next attack here when, again, contents of hand don't look particularly exciting. There's no grasp of the Arknight here to get value off those blues you otherwise would have, but yellow Ravenous Rebel here topping a red, so it's just a nice 7 damage.
Electrify on top. That is a pretty spicy card. That is kind of unusual. You don't really see this card too often anymore.
Okay, so Nathan was actually experimenting with this card quite a bit a few months ago, and the reason is that in a non-block meta, it's actually sick. Replacing itself out from Arsenal and then getting like a card's worth of damage is above rate. It's fantastic. But Iyslander wants to block, so it makes me think is when playing around with some more of these attack reactions to guarantee on hits. I'm not sure, but Electrify is a juicy one. Yeah, this was definitely something we saw Nathan toy with as well.
Yeah, Electrify, I guess you combine it with Lightning Press can get pretty out of hand. So, all right, we're seeing Arcane Barrier 1 activated here to stop that Bramble Spark. Are we going to see extra cards thrown in front of this? Maybe, maybe not. Looks like there's no disruption in Arsenal if I had to guess. I think Alex's preferred playstyle actually is running like 9 or 12 of those chunky attacks.
Okay.
So his arsenal is less likely to be disruption and more likely to be, Fendal's Fighting Spirit, Wounded Bull, that type of thing.
Yeah, maybe there's a Scar for Scar here as well. Like just throwing a Scar for a Scar out is nice, but we're going to
reveal that Electrify again. Yeah. All right, so kind of decision time here. Generally, if you're pitching for Arcane Barrier, that would make me think that that's a 0-cost card in Arsenal. But we haven't seen it yet, and now would be the time to play it.
Yeah, like Frosting, Brain Freeze, right? Something like that.
Yeah. All right. Well, kind of a best case scenario here, because there's no Grasp of the Arknight. Just gonna be 2 and 2, not 2-2-1. So, okay. So I guess he was anticipating the Rosetta Thorn. I guess he just wanted to pitch for the Bramble Spark AB1 and then pitch for the Rosetta Thorn AB2. I guess that makes a lot of sense.
Chunky attack in the arsenal now seems like the most likely.
Yep. Or that
like is Scar and Peak or something. Okay.
Okay. There we go. Yep. So Alex probably running the full set of E-Strikes, Wounded Bulls, Fendel Fighting Spirit, and Scar for Scar. So 12 attack actions. And I know that he likes to use the these blue sets blocking the
so much value. Unreal.
Yep. So, those blue Sifs have already saved him 2 damage already this game, so that's kind of nuts. The only downside of Embodiment of Earth is if you indicate to the Iyslander player that you want to keep your whole hand, they have a response window.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's doing well.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, you're right. So there's obviously a window here for Alex to act now on the Embodiment of Earth going off. And again, like, what's he popped in Arsenal? So the last couple of times he's really favoured trying to get these big attacks in there, want to walk these life totals down. He's been getting cards, but that embodiment, like you mentioned, has been making it so that Wen doesn't have to sort of overblock too much. That's a good one. That's definitely, and like, you cannot ask for a better window than to get this CLF down before your opponent can act, a la this Embodiment of Earth trigger. That's sublime. So
it's possible that this actually destroys Briar's whole turn. But more than likely, this probably just is pitching a blue to do a single attack, arsenal the other card. If I had to guess here, he didn't take the Tunic energy, so indicates to me he probably doesn't need it.
Yep.
Okay. Red Snatch, not bad. We did see that Alex does run Sink Below, so there is a possibility of a clean block here. Or that works too.
Yep.
Yeah. Very, very nice. Okay.
I mean, Brothers plays so nice to this whole deck. It does really well, like, especially if there's ever a turn where you're wanting to Waning Moon, like off a blue, you can get that 4 block. And I've even seen Brothers just jammed in someone's face just to present some damage as well. So a card that everyone thought was absolutely horrendous, save for a select few. And then, we saw Michael bring that into this Iyslander deck, and all of a sudden, it really made sense with a lot of the math you're having to do here. Covering up the snatches, chef's kiss.
Yep. Another deck that card is really good in is Olden, because you pitch 3 Crown of Seeds, Rampart, Brothers in Arms.
Yeah.
Nice, easy 6 block.
It's just ridiculous, isn't it? And here's that Waning Moon. So we are going to have another card pitched here, which is all well and good. With the Channel Lake Frigid down now as well, so there's a great chance for Alex to start to chip in a little bit of damage, knowing that he might actually, with that remaining in play, have the opportunity to draw up and find another one of these big chunky attacks. I think there was it one ice card?
Okay, so that means he's not going to have an arsenal. Okay, I guess that's... Okay, so he's going to use the same strategy that Kaiser used in the last game. Who needs an arsenal to defend yourself when you have CLF on the board?
Yeah, I mean, look, CLF plus like 3-card hand for your opponent is pretty nice.
Yeah,
it's not as if it's like a Frostbite to fight through and then there's no more disruption. This is persistent. So yeah, pretty annoying stuff.
Yeah. All right, so getting rid of the Nimblism. Nimblism, not a great card when CLF is out. All right. We'll see what the Briar player can pitch together this turn.
These next few turns I think are really important. How well the Briar can fight through this CLF is going to be very telling. I like it.
Not completely irrelevant, but mostly irrelevant since this CLF is probably not sticking around anyways.
Yeah, it's like the question is like, how could Alex get 2 ice cards in his pitch anyway? It could, but he wants to block with 2 cards on most turn cycles. So this is just 6. We go tall when the CLF's in play.
Yep. So if Alex has a decent turn, we're going to see a 3 block and then return with a chunky attack Arsenal card. That's probably what this cycle is going to look like.
Yep.
Unless this is a sink blow, he's hovering over his hand here. Okay, never mind. Just adding more cards. Block. Okay, 2 card block here. So the best 1 card hand that Iyslander can have is Scar for Scar. So I anticipate that's going to come out here. If it's not Scar for Scar, this play makes okay. I guess Brain Freeze works pretty well here.
Yeah.
Oh. This does give Briar a lot of information, though, but it equally gives Alex a lot of information too. All right, which card would you take here with the Brain Freeze?
I think the swarming is pretty. I mean, it depends on what's in this arsenal here.
It's going to be
swarming.
Oh, yeah, that's true. Yep. Mm-hmm. Yeah, the swarming looks like the best choice here. You could also grab the Sift and deny them but none of their cards cost any to play. So, yeah,
there is the question of like needing to make sure swarming can sort of get that go again, but that's because you don't obviously a lot of Briar decks have the grass, they create the rune shard, and they come in with the swarming, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's not always as straightforward here when you are running the Vexing Quill hand. Again, don't know what that card in pocket is here. Swarming is just a very I don't mind denying the blue here by Alex.
Like the Swarming Gloomveil does not have go again unless he pops the Quill hand. So the more we talk about it, the more I'm leaning towards that blue.
Mm-hmm.
Because the Polar Blast is going to be played from Arsenal. That's going to give 1 Frostbite. That 1 Frostbite basically means he's going to have to give up one of these cards as well. So,
and let's not forget, this is all through Channel Lake. Oh no, that's actually going away. That's right. Erase Face got blocked, but there was not enough ice cards here. And we know the Polar Blast is in the arsenal, which is like the lower end of the spectrum of disruption that Alex can inflict here. So, that would be an idealized situation if Wen hadn't just had to put a card on the top of his deck.
Yeah, so we're probably just going to see Nimblism into Alex play the Polar Blast into pitch for the Gloomveil. Or pitch for the Exude, sorry. That's most likely what's going to happen here. So priority window here for Alex.
Bear in mind those, I mean, a Polar Blast here, I think he's probably trying to decide, how much damage can I really deny with a Frostbite? Like at what point of the turn does this really make the most sense to go for?
One of the things we're seeing here also is that AB3 has not been super effective here because this Polar Blast is going to be played and then Waning Moon's going to come dunk on him at the end of the turn. So it's having AB1 or AB3 here makes no difference here.
Yeah, I mean, frankly, like I think this is a lot of players dealing with Iyslander have had to make this evolution in sort of understanding of how much of your own game plan you want to compromise in order to sort of defend yourself against Iyslander. And now with her having so many split forms of damage where like a lot of the physical, the non-arcane damage is relevant, people are starting to realize that the best you can do in the face of like a fused Ice Vein is to just lose only 1 card. You know what I mean? Just pay 2 and reduce 1 arcane damage. That's why, I mean, it's questionable for me, definitely, to see this when you can get value out of blocking, with these larger equipment pieces. And that's where all of Briar's defense rating is, right? On her head and her hands.
Mm-hmm. Interesting here that we saw the Tunic Energy taken. This means Wen wants to keep the Swarming Gloomveil in hand. That's an interesting choice. I don't know why you would prioritize that card. I guess unless you want to pitch like this. Okay. I would still say the Tunic counter is probably more valuable than 1 life prevented here. Interesting.
Is this when trying to play slowly, I wonder?
I think so. I mean, with AB3, your general strategy has to be playing a bit slower. But giving Iyslander Iyslander has a lot of agency over the game if you're playing slower. So that's one of the things, like, the more and more I played against Iyslander as Dory, eventually I was like, I'm just bringing my fridge. I don't care about your arcade damage anymore. Send your wounded bull into my fridge and ask me if I care, especially in Blitz. I've got a lot of messages like, oh, how do I beat Iyslander as Dory? I'm like, are you running any AB? And they're like, yeah, I bring AB3 bolters.
Yeah,
like,
that was...
No, that's against Kano. Don't do that.
It was like AB3 tunic or whatever. Then AB2, oh god, we've realized that at the end of the day, like, we're taking that damage. Happy Man makes a good point in chat as well. I think Electrify's an Arsenal here for Wen. I think that was the card that he's had sat there. So, Brain Freeze, he would draw that whatever brain card got Brain Freezed with Electrify. Maybe wants a bit more of an idealized turn, or he can get value out of the extra card as opposed to just drawing up to 4 in that case. Is that Scar, though?
Okay, so this was one of the things I was concerned about is, can Iyslander use a 4-card hand? Sometimes she can't. But, E-Strike, Scar for Scar, or, something like an Amulet allows them to use their whole turn here. And,
sorry?
Ooh. Wow.
That's nice. Very nice.
Yep. Scar for Scar into Fendel's Fighting Spirit.
But that's so important, right? The fact that Sneed's able to take advantage of this gap in pressure, in tempo, is so crucial, because that life total was, it was like 12 life. It's still a little uncomfortable. You want to start to claw that back. Now, like, Briar, like, you can't... Maybe you block with an on-attack here, a Sift equivalent, eat some of this up, but you need to be going at some point. You have to Electrify, in your arsenal. You still have Vexing Cool Head up. That's the blue Sift, right?
That's 3 for 3.
Full value of blue Sifts, just quietly.
Yep. Blue Sift, great card. Turns out it blocks for 4. All right. So, again, Embodiment of Earth, is Alex going to let him keep this? We haven't seen a CMH yet.
Yeah, that's right. And, well, I hope it's not in Arsenal.
Yeah, or you're going to have to pay for it here. That's
this is great. I mean, we talked to Nathan a lot about, like, in his game, I think it was against the Oldham, like, trying to stay off Arsenal a little bit here. I mean, pretty frustrating if Briar really has a key game piece in Arsenal that she has to try and get value out of, because then you're dealing with, the equivalent of 2 Frostbites if you want to sort of have your turn. And this card replaces itself, the Cold Snap, off a Tunic counter. So there's, like, a real potential here for Alex to have a bit of fun. I don't know if, like, this is a Storm Strider's particularly turn, but he can give plenty of cards here, come back with another chunky attack, and keep walking that life total down in a big way. So that's your channel mount, but limited follow-up here.
Very, very interesting strategy here to set up a CMH past the turn to Iyslander. This is a huge gamble here, because Iyslander's going to get to pick the perfect Arsenal card for next turn, and is going to make you pay with your with probably 10 points of life here.
It's also, does Alex have, like, a fusion option for an Ice Vein here? Because that plus an Amulet of Ice activation can tear apart Wen's chances from getting the value he's looking for off of that Channel Mount Heroic. So, no, it makes sense here. You have a surplus of cards. Pitching with that damage, and now we've walked the life totals down enough that we are, we're at parity here. That is big. Remember, peaks online. Have something with Go Again. You can peak here. This extra amount of cards, providing you have the action points, can really mess up the CMH turn.
Scar for Scar still active here at 19 to 20 here. This is the turn to use Amulet of Ice if he has anything that can disrupt here, or anything that can Ice Fuse here. Scar for Scar, excellent start here.
I mean, it's about as good as it's going to get.
Yep, it's basically 4 on. Like, there's no way you block here with anything here. All right. So now, what's the follow up here? Cornet Peak is going to waste a card. Unfortunately, it looks like he did not have anything to Ice Fuse, or else I think he would have.
Yeah, which is obviously, you can, from Arsenal, you can Blue Ether Ice Vein, but that can be covered up by the AB3 of Wen here. So, Oasis,
Red
Oasis, that is mental.
Right. That is an unusual choice, but I mean, if you're bringing AB3, I guess you're bringing in Oasis. So this is something that I've been talking about how like Hong Kong is an isolated region and their deck list can be kind of weird. Because I think Wen might be thinking like, oh, all the Icelanders in Hong Kong are playing mostly arcane damage. And then, here, I'm sure that they're in Hong Kong, they're very well aware of, the Hamilton list. But it's possible that the Icelanders in Hong Kong maybe have started to shift away from that to a, more arcane damage focused build. And maybe, that's what Wen was trying to do here. Because it seems like his build is not really lining up well against the Bulllander style.
Yeah, I think having Electrify here is great, right? Having that extra sort of on hit. We haven't really seen a lot of Blizzard, Hypothermia. We've seen one CLF, I guess, from Alex right now. He has a surplus of cards from that previous turn, right? He's not able to do as much as he would have liked. I think that he still has to respect this. When I see Electrify, it's like a combustible courier to me. It's like, oh, I have to block this, or I'm taking an extra 3 at some point down the line.
He might have to throw the Cornet Peak in front of something here, depending on what his hand is. If he has something that he can Ice Fuse from Arsenal, like a blue Aetherized Fane, blue Brain Freeze, this turn is going to get shut down, and that's CMH is going to do is a 2-card for 0 value here. But I guess we'll see what type of disruption Alex has here.
It is one Earth card in Arsenal, so chance for Wen to keep it around. But this is really where he needs to put his foot in the gas, because now let's just say when your opponent's scars are turned off, you're in a bad spot when you're up against Iyslander.
We could tell he's in a bad spot because the Iyslander player has more life, and CLF is,
which is what having your scar turned off is code for, Josh.
Yep.
I'm just being more fortuitous about it.
Sorry. Yep. You're right. My bad. I need to drink more of this monster, and then I can keep up with you.
No, I mean, honestly, I think removing layers of abstraction where we can in this matchup is probably a good thing. But hey, Frostbite CLF, this is about the best thing you could have brought out here.
Yeah, CLF probably the best counter to CMH. So, all right, you're gonna get to draw from Electrify. Maybe this gives him enough pitch to send 2 attacks, maybe.
Again, it means that it's easier to get another card into pitch when you're paying 2 extra. So
that is true. Yep, the CMH probably could stick around. Now, there's actually some threat that he drew another CMH here, because we haven't seen him draw or play a CMH until this is turn 8 or so.
Yep.
So,
and Nathan had the similar situation. He played almost 3 back-to-back.
Yep.
All right, this is nice. This is very nice with Electrify. So Overload with Dominate printed. So 6 Dominate, and if it hits, go again. And guess who doesn't have Iron Rock gloves?
So he does have 6 block if he wants to give his Tunic here. Whether or not that's worth it, unclear. Especially considering that, with Electrify on board, I think you just have to, right? It's turning your Tunic into a 4 block.
Yep.
I think you just have to do it. Yeah.
Yep.
Okay, so Alex agrees with me. So here we go. E-Strike, Tunic, Cornet Peak jumping in front of this. That's going to stop the turn.
I'm happy with this. Yeah, I mean, whenever you see Briar with a Channel Man heroic turn, and then she puts a conditional go again card in front of you, you jump. They say how high you are jumping. Nicely done. And that CMH getting a couple of equipment pieces in the end.
Yeah, and CMH going to the graveyard of note. This is okay. So he can't Cornet Peak here, right? So he's going to have to. Okay, that works. That works.
Yeah, Blizzard in his hand as well. God, he had everything actually for that turn.
He did. Well, so CLF's going to stick around. Fendel's Fighting Spirit not going to gain him a life, but when you're ahead on life, I guess it doesn't really matter.
I mean, yeah. Again, this damage is. I mean, Briar is now in a position where it's like, okay, can I afford to take another off turn because
no embodiment.
Exactly. And roughly speaking, 12 is that threshold. Not every Iyslander kills you with a blue Emeritus from Arsenal, right? But or rather, off the Striders. But when you start to get below 12, you're really scared. When you're behind this far, it's even worse. The problem is that Wen has had his opportunities to find those power spikes and actually try and capitalize on them. Sticking a conditional go again in front of someone like Sneed, he's going to take that bet 10 times out of 10. So this is, being realistic here, with how little block value was on this equipment that Wen has brought into this game, it is extremely dire for the Briar player. And can I just say, for Blue Pitch's chances of advancing here?
Yeah, of note, this is match point here.
Yep.
If Wen goes down here, that's going to make the last 2 games. They
call them dead rubbers in Australia. I don't know if you have that term, but yeah.
Yeah, I guess they're going to be dead rubbers. We're going to see some battle axe from Josh. That's what we're going to see. So massive block here for 9 here, and
What?
look! Oh wow!
See that card? That's a channel like heroic.
That's a channel Mount Heroic gone. I mean, Wen's turn wasn't going to be good anyways, so I think he's just content to just pass the turn back here.
Yep.
He just, I mean, the chance that Alex can get 2 ice cards into the banish zone or pitch zone is really, really low. So I think, yep, Briar just passing back here. And with the density of E-strikes, I wouldn't be surprised to see. Okay, never mind. Ice Bolt into Waning Moon here.
That's excellent for trying to close the gap. This is going to ask for a lot of cards, to be fair.
Yep. So this is one of those opportunities where you get to AB3, 2 things. But okay, actually, yeah. The CLF could stay around here.
Yeah.
That's a good point.
Yeah,
that's
and
probably
I think
better than an E-strike, yeah.
And I think Wen is looking at that right now and saying, well, okay, I mean, just how many turns can I really... I mean, this is where it is kind of good for players that bring AB3 in, I think, when, you don't see this often, like just like an Ice Bolt thrown down on the Iyslander player's turn. The Briar is definitely very weak against a lot of those, wounded bull style attacks, but this is kind of what she's teched to answer, so that is a blue card in pitch here, so we're getting some arcane barrier value at least.
Yep, hypothermia. That is very, very alarming when you see hypothermia being pitched. Oh man.
Yeah. Yeah, and this is why when you're falling below and you're having to pitch to this arcane, and then this is why like you probably decided you didn't really fancy bringing anything in to answer arcane damage in the Iyslander matchup, because if you're at the point of having to do it, you have lost the game.
Yep. All right.
Yep. 2 flow counters, baby.
2 flow counters. That's how you want to do it. And
again, like we talk in terms of like X has lost the game wise. I mean, that's obviously not the case here. It's just pointing out that Briar is not getting to execute her game plan, and she's just blocked with her second channel Mount Heroic. And this is like a non-go again attack here with no no boots to give that go again in any other case. So this is obviously not what you want to. This is not the life you want to live as a Briar player.
I think really the nail in the coffin here is that the Amulet of Ice is still on the field. So as soon as the Iyslander player gets any value out of that Amulet of Ice, I think the Briar player is going to be completely out of this game. All right. So going to respond with Polar Blast before Exude becomes a lair. Because obviously Exude prevents you from activating instants.
Yep.
So Polar Blast Polar Blast not the greatest disruption, but not really needed this turn.
No, it means you can block with 2 cards and still like Coroner Peak, Arsenal, or have like those options. So
yeah, unfortunately the Coronet Peak is
dead
over at the moment.
Yeah.
But I still think this game's probably going to be closed with like an E-strike go again into something. We haven't seen Alex play a attack action card for quite a while. And that's kind of why the game is kind of slowed down, is because Wen is like, oh, you're attacking me with arcane damage? Perfect. So yeah, it could be a 2-card block here. It could be a 1-card block. Kind of depends on what's in his hand.
Yeah, and again, we have the question of how effectively can Alex make use of like a 3-card hand if that's the way he wants to go here. If he doesn't want to fully block this, he wants to make use of the life lead. Can he manifest something significant from that? Now, especially when things like Scar for Scar are turned off, that is relevant. If you actually see now that we know that the game plan for Alex is going to be more centered around trying to send these large attack actions, as well as prepared to answer a lot of the arcane type. So he's taken this to the face.
Yeah. Okay. So 4-card Iyslander hands generally means a go again attack into something.
Yep.
or else there's no real need for 4 cards. If you're just sending arcane damage at them, you don't really need 4 cards. We'll see how that goes. Okay, Aether Ice Vein. That's interesting because you pitch a card, you fuse a card. You didn't actually use your last card. Unless you Waning Moon to have the arsenal. I guess that's...
I think Waning Moon's fine here. And there's obviously the value, there's the potential of the amulet being popped just to really tear this hand apart.
There we go.
Yeah, if Wen was hoping to like have a bit of an off turn to actually maybe find that last Channel Mount Heroic, do something with it, that option now's off the table. It's a Brandish.
Brandish.
Is that a Nathan Crawford shout out? My God.
Yeah, Brandish, pretty good in Briar. I was joking with Nathan that
it's a warrior card.
Players. No, it's not a warrior card. It's a Moonlight card. Apparently, he's like, hey, it has go again, and it's an attack action. Put it in my deck. All right, so this Aether Ice Vein here. Oh man, this is tough here.
You prevent one ideally.
He has the blue. Okay, so
prevent 3 and then
discard. Okay.
So
Waning Moon here gonna demand the last card probably. Yep. Okay. So either 2 damage here, or the last card's gonna go away.
About as good as it gets, considering that Alex took damage to do this.
Yep. And he also used a Amulet of Ice. So okay, so I don't know if that was. I mean, he didn't have an arsenal last turn, and he has an arsenal now. His CLF is gone. His amulet's gone. Dealt some damage to Wen.
Embodiment popping here.
Yeah, I guess the important thing here is that he's going to get extra damage in this turn cycle because Wen has no cards.
Yes, so, I mean, this is where, like, your Waning Moon obviously can at least find you 2 unanswered damage.
Yes.
Unless Wen's the kind of guy that likes to use it to counter for... he's the Frostbite.
Oasis in Arsenal? Oh, yeah, he has Frostbite. Yeah, so I think we're just kind of seeing Wen have decent tactics, but the wrong strategy.
Yeah.
So against Iyslander, coming in with Arcane Barrier, unless you're a wizard or you're a very defensive Oldhim, I don't even know if you would as a very defensive Oldhim, but in general, bringing in Arcane Barrier against Iyslander is not that effective unless you know for sure that they're arcane damage focused.
Yeah, it's like the Ethnic Smoke build would be great to bring AB3 in.
Yes. And so that's, that whole thing about how, things could be warped in Hong Kong. The Icelanders in Hong Kong might have been on the Hamilton builds, but maybe in the last 2-3 weeks, they've all started to play a more arcane damage focused, and maybe when adjusted, he was one step ahead, but he didn't need to be one step ahead here.
Yeah, we call that turning 360.
Yeah, turning 360 here. Yep. Sometimes you don't need to think 2 levels ahead.
He's ahead of his time.
Yeah, exactly. All right. So it is. I guess Alex is deciding what he's going to pitch for Waning Moon. Is that where we're at right now?
I think so. I mean, yeah, I think when it's trying to move to end step here, because this is come with the embodiment's gone up. Sorry, we had a tangent. The embodiment's gone up. The Amulet of Ice comes out of Arsenal. Again, it's heralding another turn cycle where Wen will have great difficulty amassing enough damage to actually, overwhelm Sneed in any way, shape, or form. So we move to end step here. This is on Alex's turn. Another fused ? Aether Ice Vein. Yep, it's good. And again, the Amulet of Ice also being triggered on top of that.
Yeah, so he's ripping apart Briar's hand and chipping in damage, but I think I would have preferred the Waning Moon on the last turn, because here you're just going to Waning Moon, right? So, but you're giving
last turn it's free damage.
Yeah, exactly. So, Waning Moon here just gives him the opportunity to have another blue and block it. So, I mean, I don't know if that really matters what he does here. He's in a pretty commanding position, but I think I would have preferred the Waning Moon last turn.
So this is preventing 3 arcane damage from Aetherized Vein. So that still means two will always leak through in situations like that. And then you have discard unless you pay 2 effect. Snatch goes down the Gurgler.
Another thing is that Waning Moon is dealing 2 damage on your own turn and 3 damage on their turn. So that's another reason to do that last turn. The only reason that you would do this is you want to hide what you're arsenaling, because you have to reveal to...
Much value out of these yellow Ravenous Rebels. What the heck?
Yellow Ravenous Rebel, pretty good, I heard. That's... yellow cards, often forgotten in this game. But when they're as good as Belittle or Ravenous Rebel, they make the cut.
So no embodiment trigger here to give Alex a window before when moves to end step. So there's no chance to chip in damage when there's no cards to pitch to Arcane.
Yeah. And, the last 2 or 3 turn cycles, Alex has chipped in some damage. But, okay, this is not a good turn from him. Huh.
Yeah. So
unless there's a Storm Striders here. This is as weak a turn as it gets.
Yeah. Again, really depends on how so the reason why it's Scar for Scar without Go again. Also, we saw Alex pocket a card. We had Wen's entire turn. He was able to draw up. There was nothing out of Arsenal, no arcane damage, no nothing. Now there's obviously a chance here. There's no embodiment up, so this is only a 2 block. Pretty decent. We are, I can't believe I'm saying this, we're leaking damage against that Briar opponent. But how much more can you really do here? You pocket, you don't get full value out of your hand. He has an opportunity now to do something.
Yeah, so Wen is back in this game, especially if he has a Razor here.
Exude.
And even if he doesn't, he could still, pump. Okay, Heart of Fendel. Not going to gain him any life, but still going to, chip some damage in here.
This is fine. There's 2 arcane being presented plus the Frostbite. There is really a question of was Wen planning to maybe try and pump this Exude? Or like you mentioned, were there sort of reactions here because there's 2 damage that comes through plus the Frostbite. There's to stop any of this damage, there has to be a pitch that occurs in the first place. So still disruptive.
Yep.
I'm not sure what Wen is indicating with the dice.
His pitch. He took the Tunic Energy.
Gotcha. In response, yeah.
So looks like he took the arcane damage. So now he's in big danger of the classic finishing move of Emeritus Scolding, Storm Striders into something, Waning Moon. So being at 6, even with AB3, you die to a flurry of arcane damage. Waning Moon again putting him to the test here.
Yeah, this is why Wen is trying to play damage. He's trying to play tall a little bit around, I guess, with this potential Exude pump, because he needs to keep some card density here. Okay, that's the Oasis.
Mm-hmm. I mean, Oasis is going to gain him a life here, but he doesn't even have enough energy to pitch. Oh, he does. He took the Tunic. Okay. So, I mean, that does end the turn there, but, now his whole hand is face up here. Except his Arsenal, which he's been sitting on for a while, which kind of makes me think it's an Oasis.
Yeah, I'm really curious to ask Wen about sort of his, the Oasis Respite in the sideboard here. This feels almost more mid-range, this list from the Briar, at least from what we've seen from her, right? Brain Freeze to block here, so we're taking 1 damage. Yep. Embodiment up.
Yes, sir. Yeah, so there's really not a good 2-card hand here. I mean, probably the best would be a
Amulet, E-Pot, maybe.
Yeah. Okay, looks like it's just going to Arsenal pass. So, I mean, these have been some very, very inefficient turns from Iyslander, and that has given Briar some breathing room here.
Yeah, it looks like Alex opts not to respond to the embodiment triggering here. So Wen can have a turn, and that's what he's been sitting on, a Channel Mount Heroic for so long. Yep. Now the question is, what type of disruption does Alex have? If we have an arcane damage sort of in Arsenal here, plus that Waning, plus Storm Striders, right? You guys know the drill at this point. He can really go in hard. There's nothing floating here after paying for this channel mount.
Yep. Looks like Alex is going to let it resolve.
Oh.
And Swarming Goomba.
Oh, okay. So go again already. For this.
Go again here. So this is actually a turn I might have, if I was Wen, I would have popped Quillhand. Yep. This is AB2, AB3 doesn't really matter here. You're already so far behind, you might as well play to win instead of, playing not to lose. But this is a good start. This is a very good start.
Such an interesting proof of concept as well. If Wen's able to get away with this, for being so very patient. I think the only way I could have been playing slower was by like deploying a Rusted Relic every turn for like turn 1 through 3. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that was actually one of the cards I was keeping an eye on because it's like, did Nathan talk to Wen about Rusted Relic?
Because I've got AB5 and your red Ice Vein gets stuffed now. Oh my god.
Yep.
All right, so pretty relevant here. This is non-conditional go again from the Swarming with 2 cards left to go with.
So Hypothermia would work against this, but we saw him pitch 1, so unlikely that's Hypo in Arsenal.
Seen very few Blizzards played.
Yeah.
Blizzard to tax, and then maybe you try and stick some damage in around after they've paid for Blizzard might be nice. Mm-hmm. If there's like a red dense hand here.
I think Alex is is currently calculating if he has lethal here.
Yeah.
And okay, looks like just a sink below an Arsenal. So this kind of so Wen knows that this turn is not going to be disruptive at all. So he can, ideally if he has a Rabble into Rabble would be like ideal here if he had those. If he has 1 more attack here, I think he's in a good spot.
Yeah, absolutely.
If he has 2, okay, there we go. Okay, so there's the disruption there. Okay, there I spoke too soon. I forgot Blizzard could come out of hand.
Absolutely critical here. Yeah, and that's what we sort of mentioned, right? We hadn't really seen Blizzard used in this way up until this point, but having to pay 2 for this and then having to pay extra based on the Frostbite. One of the sneaky, most nasty parts about dealing with Iyslander is that, you can get more than 1 trigger from your hero ability on that turn. So, yeah, big question. So,
best case scenario, okay, looks like he did not have
he didn't pay for Blizzard.
Yep. Yeah. So, just setting up a little bit. CMH should have 1 counter right now, but I guess they'll rectify that soon.
I would say like 3 cards in Alex's hand can signal something potentially quite threatening. Like Briar is no longer in the point of taking the luxury of ignoring. To be fair, credit to Wen, he hasn't been ignoring any attack actions coming from his opponent. But when he has the Channel Man Heroic in play, you're obviously not incentivized to block at all. Alex definitely needs to jam something in the works here. He needs to force Wen to value that life total this turn.
Yep. A chunky attack here would force at least 1 card here. Probably 2. But 2 in the sense that Wen knows if he gives him just 1, he's probably dead. But if he gives him 2, he can't present enough damage, so he's indirectly also dead. Looks like Alex is debating what to do here.
Red carpet's been rolled out.
The Vexing Quillhand is still there. So there's some threat of a giant attack, getting the tempo back here. But I guess we'll see. Insidious Chill going to be the weapon of choice here. And
I was wondering when we would see this. This is the first time I think we saw it pitched in the early turns, Josh.
Yep.
And finally deployed. Obviously, the Frostex game plan is not all that efficient. Having 1 or 2 Insidious Chills is obviously amazing to prevent Briar from cutting you down to size. At this point, we still need a fusion.
I want to point out something super important that I want the viewers to be aware of. He pitched Aether Ice Vein Blue. So that narrows down the possibilities of his arsenal a lot, or that was a misplay. Because Aether Ice Vein Blue is the perfect card to go with Insidious Chill.
Yeah. Alex wants 2 discard unless you pay 2 effects, not the 1 though, because he knows Wen will just slam a blue in his pitch zone if he sees that blue Ether Ice Vein.
Exactly. Yeah, so I think Alex might just be like, okay, the blue Aether Ice Vein may not get much value unless he has a lot of reds or yellows. Okay, looks like Electrify going to give another response window to Alex and more information about Wen's hand.
And this is not from Arsenal, so no draw here.
Yes, just a +3 if the next thing hits. Which, given breakpoints, this flip's going to be super important here. Oh. And that's a red. Okay, so this is 7 on hit 3.
You cannot just eat this. And again, we're dealing with an Iyslander build that doesn't have a lot of sort of armor. We've seen it all used. The tunic got used quite a few turns ago in respecting that breakpoint. I think it was Electrify related here. So that might have been like 6. I'm not sure, but yeah, it's go time. Strap on your boots, baby.
All right, Storm Strider's activation here from Alex, indicating he probably has a deterministic win here. Pitching Brother in Arms, okay. Card going to come out from hand or red from
once
Arsenal?
A fuse trigger.
There we go. All right.
The first up's Insidious, though, so that's compulsory trigger that comes down first. So Wen will have to abide by the discard unless you pay 2 trigger first. Yep.
Sink Below in hand getting pitched. If there's an Oasis in hand, this shuts it down really cleanly here.
Yep.
Gonna fuse it. Gonna add the Insidious Chill trigger as well. And
it's nasty timing for Wen. Like you said, Oasis is crucial here out of Arsenal or wherever it might have been, but this basically puts Wen in a position that before the damage even starts to come his way, he'll have his hand stripped of the cards that he would want to pitch to Arcane Barrier. He'll have 2 floating, which will answer some of Ether Ice Vein, but that's still going to hit.
Yep. Yeah, this is a rock and a hard place here for Briar. I mean, he still does have the full AB3. He hasn't, used the Quill Hand here, so that might stop some of this damage. But
I think this isn't to kill. This might not be to kill, but I think the double discard unless you pay 2 effect is more desirable to Alex here. Yes, and I think with the with the Waning Moon, if he goes with it. This might put Wen to like 2 or 3 health, maybe depending on how he blocks here. So, he'll be short by 1. Yeah, Storm Striders. So Storm Striders was for for a yellow card, I think, out of Arsenal instead of having like a 3rd card. So you can't Metacarpus Waning Moon, obviously. So this is 5 on the Ice Vein and then a 3 on the Waning Moon. Yeah, there's 2 floating for Wen. Yeah. So Metacarpus Node wants to get maximum value from a blue from Arsenal plus a red from hand, but the cards just didn't line up properly for Alex there. Okay, so Wen decided to discard to the Insidious Chill, and now he has to deal with all this arcane damage, and deciding if he's going to take it or what here. Yeah, because there's a question of how effectively can Alex block this attack with all the cards that he's sort of used here. Insidious, that one below the Metacarpus, was, I think, the fusion target. So that is technically in Alex's hand. Yep. But covering the breakpoint of 7 here is looking impossible. Yeah, he's basically saying this Electrify is going to hit me, but you might possibly be dead. So that's kind of what we're deciding what to do here. So Insidious Chill... Aether Ice Vein yellow here, coming in for 4. Waning Moon going to come in for 3. That is 7, but it's 5 on the Ice Vein, right? Oh yeah, because of the Metacards. Yep, you're right. Yep. You're right. Okay, so he should just AB as much of it as he can. Yep. Take 3. Waning Moon, take 3. Electrify goes off. Oh, there it is. Great play there. The Metacarpus node again is relevant, right? It is, but he's going to gain a life here. Ooh. Because so you still, I mean, the discard unless you pay 2 effects not relevant, but obviously you still get some damage here. The Oasis Respite, that's been sat in his arsenal for so many turn cycles here.
Yep.
He's out of them though, but having such a healthy life total after your opponent has used their Storm Striders is nothing to sneer at.
Wen played this really, 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 really well because he went down to exactly 1 pitch, so he could neither discard nor pay 2. But guess what else he could do with 1 resource?
Oh, he could swing the bloody broken sword.
That is super well played there from Wen. With no Storm Striders, I think this might... So Electrified... So this is 10, and I think Alex is dead.
Yeah, this is going to hit one way or another. You can put a card out here to block. That's fine. You're going to take 4 plus 3 is 7. So I think you're alive at 1. If you block with the last card in your hand. I'm speaking with an upward inflection because I'm questioning.
Yeah. I mean, he's down on AB now as well.
He has to block.
Yeah. He's indirectly dead here because he has no arsenal. Oh no, he's dead.
No!
Oh no.
He's been holding
boy.
This is it. This is it. He's dead.
It. He is dead.
Oh my god!
Wow! And a game that he was so far ahead for so long. Just did not have the. Oh man, that is heartbreaking there. Huh.
Oh my goodness!
Wow.
On the last Channel Mount heroic as well.
Yeah. So I think there's some really, really in-depth things going on here because when presenting AB3 Oasis Respite does kind of throw Iyslander off balance here, and I think that's kind of what happened because we noticed. Well, we'll drag them in here and talk, and then we'll figure out what to do here. All right, I'm going to drag them in and talk about that match. That was.
Then I could have.
Hi, welcome to the commentary booth. What a nail biter of a game that was. Let's just start asking you some questions. So when it's very unconventional to bring AB3 as Briar. What were you kind of thinking about? Bringing AB3 and Oasis Respite.
Because in our team, we tried the 1 AB against the Iyslander, but we tried a lot of games, just only win 1 times because it got very high roll. Otherwise, every time if Iyslander got the channel leg from Arsenal, so when we just broken the Earth token and the Iyslander respond Earth token to play channel leg, and we just will disturb the whole turn. And if you only got 1 AB, you can't do anything, and you have to get a lot of damage as every turn. So we decided 3 AB will better if the channel leg is on the
So you're almost building this Briar list expecting that you are going to need to be very defensive when channel leg is in play. Like you're not trying to fight through it at all, really. You want to make sure you get your value out of your blues to make it very hard for your opponent to get that arcane damage. But how does Iyslander using these attack actions factor into that? Because obviously you have maybe less armor to deal with some of these, wounded bulls and large attacks like that. Do you feel like is it sort of difficult to account for that? Like when you have an Iyslander that wants to hit you with attack actions, or do you still feel quite comfortable with this build?
So if it just paid a lot of attack damage, attack cards, so we can still, if we got the Earth token, we can still block the non-attack card for 4 or 3 and
Blue Sift. Yeah. I wanted to talk to Alex a little bit. So I guess you generally don't play against AB3 Briar. Is that something that kind of threw you off and you'd have to adjust to?
Yeah, it was definitely an adjustment, but I mean, so when you run into Briar, it's always a tough game, but you're always just slightly favored, and the general game plan is pretty standard, right? You throw in some attacks, you throw in some disruption. You're just trying to keep that life total similar, like most Iyslander games are going to be playing. But when you run into AB3, your attacks are just slightly more effective, obviously. But in this particular matchup, I decided to go with Hamilton's plan, which is side out 3 Wounded Bulls and go down on the attack slightly, and also remove the Frost Hex plan, which would have been better against what he was trying to accomplish, which was just kind of, waiting. Right. But I think over the course of the game, I think I was just a slight bit impatient in a couple situations that might have cost me a couple points of damage. But obviously, if he was playing 1 AB, I think that match would have been hugely in my favor. So, I mean, it ended up working out for him. But I was 1 resource short on the last turn. Unfortunately, I had a red card in my hand when I absolutely did not want a red card in my hand. It really ruined my ability to play out that yellow Ice Vein from hand and arsenal the blue Ice Vein, which I pitched. So I think I just got a little bit impatient, thought I had it, didn't account for Oasis Respite on the last turn. I was thinking that if he doesn't have Oasis there, right, I am able to push exactly, or with his resources, right, I was able to push, I think it was 8 damage. He was at 7 life. I think he was going to have to use both of his resources to survive, and then he wouldn't be able to swing the Rosetta Thorn. I was at a high enough life total to take the Electrify hit, arsenal the Emeritus Scolding, and should just be able to win the game on the return swing, which was the game plan, but I didn't account for the Oasis. I had already seen 2 of them, so the third one just kind of wasn't on my radar. But it was a good play from him. I think, in my personal opinion, having played Briar into Iyslander many times, I do not like the Oasis Respites. Having to waste your Tunic counter to play defensively instead of play proactively with the Rosetta Thorn or work around Frostbites just ends up being super awkward. And he was very fortunate that I took out some of the things that are quite good against that strategy, but he played very, very well. I think I might have gotten a little bit hasty, and it ended up being a very good game. I think I was ahead most of the game, but I think I lacked just a tidbit more patience and to try to get there. But it was a great game.
Yeah. I was very, very impressed by the last few turns from Wen, especially considering how, like, one of the things with AB3 is you can manipulate the pitch amount very carefully, and he went down to exactly 1 pitch. I was like, oh yeah, he can neither pay to and he can neither discard, but he can Quill Hand Rosetta Thorn. So I was like, oh no.
Yeah, once I knew I had lost already. Once he played the Oasis, there's just no way, because I had to commit a whole card from hand for the resources there, and I knew I wasn't going to be able to block enough if he had an Oasis. But like I said, 2 were gone. It felt like one of those turns where he had to either play it out or lose the game, and he ended up having it. So I mean, that was well played.